guys, welcome back to Anime Royalty Radio. I am Don Juan, with me as always, Mr. Spud, Aaron Legend, and Vol. And on today's video game segment, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk and what a possible dumpster fire it is.
It is a dumpster fire.
Allegedly.
No, well, yeah, it is allegedly. You're right.
There were some funny glitches that we're going to talk about, yes. And also the video game awards and how rigged it was.
Yeah, it's rigged. It's
oh
rigged.
man, so bad.
It's very rigged. SJWs and everything.
All right.
Stay out
a lot
of our
of things
games.
getting rigged this year.
Stop. Stop. We're not. No.
Just saying.
This is not a political channel.
No.
Except on
video games.
Can't fact check a thing I didn't say.
That's right. Hey, you're right. You're not wrong.
And with that, let's jump into it.
Okay, so if everybody's seen in the news, I mean, it's everywhere.
Yes.
That Cyberpunk 2077 is basically garbage.
Well, it's broke for the most part. And there has been, I think 2 quick fixes?
Yes, so far.
This month, yeah.
Well, you know it's bad when Sony, of all people,
Delist.
give out refunds.
Yep. And not only them, Xbox did it too.
I tried to get... I pre-ordered Anthem to play the early access.
Right.
And I was told that if you try to cancel a pre-order 2 weeks before the release, they'll honor it. They basically told me to get screwed. But I was stuck with it. So that's Sony's refund policy. You're boned. And they're refunding.
Yeah, and if they're refunding, that says something bad. But I do not, and I kind of agree with Vol over here, I do not think it's completely CD Red's fault.
I don't either. I think, okay, I know this, and I know you know this as a huge Mass Effect fan.
Yes.
Andromeda was almost unplayable on launch day.
That's the reason why when I pre-ordered it, got it, was going to pop it in, but I was like, I'm going to give it a couple days. Everybody's going to be reviewing this, and I just want to see, because it was so rushed to development. I'm like, let's see if there's going to be bugs.
Trying to make that release date.
Yep, and it was so buggy. So I said, you know what? I love Mass Effect so much that I'm just going to put this on the shelf.
Now, I'm going to have to half disagree with you guys because, Studio Project... I got fuzz on me?
Yeah, you had a fuzz.
Studio Project Red or CD Project... whatever.
Yeah.
They made the same mistake with The Witcher 3 when it came out. Not as bad, but they did the same thing.
But, and you're going to argue that? I'm going to argue this. How many people have played Skyrim and put how many hours into all the bugs, all the glitches?
Any game like that, the Skyrim, Fallout, Mass Effect, any game on that scale has bugs. But here's the thing. How many of those games have been pulled from... And like I said, Andromeda, day one
never
was
got
unplayable.
Pulled.
It was never pulled from the store.
Never pulled.
Never.
You have,
right, big guy.
You have.
This guy has never played any one of those games.
Never. Never pulled.
Well, you almost did. You almost played Witcher 3.
Yeah, it's nasty. I felt dirty afterwards.
You and your RPG hate.
I had to take 2 baths and a shower. In chlorine.
I can't with you. You and your freaking RPG.
I played Destiny, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys my top 3 glitches that I have seen. There was, I guess, a story mission where you're riding in the back of a vehicle and you're shooting down a gunship. The character, pulled out of the the window like it was gonna shoot, and all you see is his hands. He was supposed to have a shotgun. You don't even see the muzzle flash or the projectiles. You just see the recoil of his hands, but he's somehow still hitting
the finger
gunship.
Rifle, one of the most powerful rifles in Cyberpunk.
Now here's what gets me. You're talking about that one right there. I guess because I'm an old school gamer, that to me is just funny.
Yeah,
that's not going to stop me from playing the game at all. That's just making me laugh my ass off.
The only thing that would deter me from playing a game is when the mechanics of the game don't work. If it's visual or audio, it's not going to bother me.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
All right, number 2. I guess this guy drove off a cliff in a punk cyber van or whatever, and it was stuck in midair, so he bailed out. Took no fall damage, so that's actually pretty cool. Some bugs are fun.
Hey, that's a good glitch right there. Take no fall damage. I'll do that
anytime.
anytime.
You know how he brought the van down?
Shot it.
Here's the thing. He shot at it. It dropped like maybe 5 feet, then stopped again. He had to keep like shooting at it until it finally hit the ground.
That would...
Punk
See,
sniper vein.
again, another funny glitch that I would have more
Flying
fun
van.
with.
Yeah, but if I'm on the run
Then
from
complain
law,
about.
or well, I guess technically not then because they don't have vehicles because of the bugs. But if I'm trying to get somewhere and I'm like stuck in midair, I'm like, I gotta get somewhere. I also need this car. This is crap. Okay, number 3. Did any of you play Assassin's Creed Unity back in the day?
No, I hate
No.
Assassin's
I
Creed.
started
Unity.
it.
Do you remember the bugs?
A few. It was more like rendering issues.
It was, but like you guys have probably seen this like stuff where you see it like Arno's like all you see in underneath his hood is his eyes and his teeth.
Yeah.
Another funny glitch. Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 actually did that to where Shepard's eyes would get buggy, like super buggy, and then the rest of his face would look all messed up. But his eyes would be so buggy that his eyelids were inside of his eyes, and it was hilarious.
Well, there was one gamer who turned in a submission to it, whatever, and this one guy was supposed to be sitting on his motorcycle. He was sitting in midair on top of his motorcycle.
Yeah.
The gamer then jumped up on the dude's lap and just kept zooming in, to his body, and you could like see like the back of his eyes, his jaw. You could see like what he was wearing underneath his shirt just by like just shoving your face into the NPC, basically.
Granted, something like that can ruin gameplay. I've noticed they've had a lot of rendering issues with whether it be people or vehicles. But as long as it doesn't interrupt your gameplay, I guess it's not bad. Now, if you go walking down the street and then a motorcycle tries to render inside a car, it'll cause the car to explode and it could kill your character. But other than that...
Hey, that sounds like GTA.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean...
You turn around and nobody's there for like 2 square miles, and you make a full 360 and it's full of people.
I mean, so...
Some people like to play for a good experience, and when that experience is broken, I guess it's a little bit harder.
I don't know. Like, okay, I'm playing WWE 2K20 right now.
You can talk about the fingers?
Yeah, oh my god. I'm having more fun just seeing all the glitches and just the little stupid things that just makes my day. Like, your creative character wrestler is sitting there like this on the menu screen, but his fingers are like super long and folded over. I showed them to. It is hilarious because he's like this.
He's
like,
just standing there. He's like this, but the second he makes a fist, his fingers gain an extra 2 inches just to make like this weird fist-looking motion.
Yeah, no fucking lie. And here's another thing. I made my character a giant. Like that's the class he is. So he's super tall. And it shows him during the story mode, he's getting into his parents' cars, and his head is just coming out the top of the car. And it is the best thing I've ever seen. The ropes do whatever the hell they want to do, which is amazing. I mean, I'm having too much fun looking at all the glitches than I am actually playing the game, and that's fine with me. That
Some
makes a
people
better
are the complete
experience.
opposite.
But why is this CD Red's fault?
I gotta say, though, my first week playing Avengers when it came out,
Oh, it was
I fell
buggy.
through the map twice. I had a mission where you have to fight 10 waves of enemies. On the 9th wave, an enemy teleport in the wall
and
he
not
can't
be
be damaged.
Yep.
I
I've
have
had
to
the same
start
thing.
the mission all over. That, to me, that is a game breaking bug. That's an issue. If you're glitching through the map, falling to your death,
It
or
impedes your gameplay in general.
exactly, unable to progress your mission, that's an issue. If I walk down the street, or I'm on Skyrim and I'm riding and I get to the town and the
Nobody's there
vendors'
yet.
faces haven't rendered and I'm just seeing their teeth and eyes, I'm like, okay, that's creepy. But then there's shitloads in and you're fine. I just don't think like in Cyberpunk, like your dick glitching through your pants is a big deal. Like that's funny to me.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to say. And these are glitches if you really look at AAA games have had. GTA's had rendering problems where you're walking down the street, nobody's there, you turn around, there's a shit ton of people around you. I mean, Skyrim, same thing. You walk into, let's say, which one?
The obvious one.
Thought that was going to be a lot quieter.
Really?
No lie, I was working my way through. I was like, I know I can get this down to at least 2 decibels.
All right, since we got Aaron on the hotspot, and since he's not an RPG player, I don't know if you remember this or if you ever encountered this. Do you remember Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
I hope it doesn't stink, because this is a small
Just
room.
ignore it.
You're in for a bad day.
The very first mission when you're playing as a exoskeleton marine.
Yes.
I think originally, if you went to your pause menu and either you tried to get out of it, the game would freeze, or vice versa.
Yeah, I remember something similar to that.
I had to restart like multiple times because I didn't know that was the problem. I just didn't hit the pause button. Just let the first mission play through all the way to the end, and then it didn't happen again.
Yeah, it had some weird loading issues. Like, it would play the game normal, but if you got to a weird spot and did something like pausing during an animation, or you had to hit it at the right time, the game would just freak out and not know what to do, and you'd have to start over.
So, what we're saying is, basically what we've determined is that because Cyberpunk was so overhyped that people expect it to be perfect.
Right. Or like, you had 8 years, it's been in development for 8 years, we shouldn't be having these issues.
But in those 8 years, did they know they were going to have to make it for PS5?
Right.
It should have been tested more on current generation consoles, which would be the standard.
No, it should have. That I agree
PS4
with you.
and the PS4 Pro, not just solely being focused on the PS5.
On the PC, they made it from the ground up for PC, and then
stink.
They openly admitted that the consoles were an afterthought, which is where I feel like that is where they get.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't not imagine them be like, yes, it's almost finished. They're like, great, which console? Console.
What's console?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
But it plays well on next gen. Like, if of course there's not a next gen version of the game yet. That's not supposed to come out until sometime next year. But you can still download the PS4 version on your PS5, and it plays fine. And in case you're wondering why I'm the only one not freaking out, I have no sense of smell.
This is true.
Fucking
You bastard.
This is why.
It smells like
you're
fucking
close to
weird
me.
ass
Exactly.
eggs.
I'm just glad that Spud's in between to
Fuck
copy
you.
that buffer.
I hate it. I'm in like the fucking front line right here.
Anyway.
So I do agree with you. I feel like they're putting this game up on a pedestal where it shouldn't be. If anybody's at real fault, I think people are just being a tad bit too picky.
I don't think it should have been pulled from the store. I mean, I understand Sony giving refunds and they're not wanting to do that.
Right.
But then you hear that Microsoft pulled it as well.
Yeah.
So then you're like, but if I can download it on my PlayStation 5 and play it, people on the I wanted to buy the game. Yeah. I wanted to buy the game to play on my PS5. I can't because it's gone.
Yeah, but at least those who don't have a next-gen console, at least they'll know that, hey, whenever they do, re-release this game, it'll be a lot more fixed than it is now.
But let's be honest, this is not a No Man's Sky situation.
Right, where they have to completely rebuild the game.
Yeah, I don't feel like this is. And I've seen people compare it to that, and I don't think it's to that thing. We were not lied to about what you're able to do. It just wasn't presented or polished the right way. Or executed, however you want to put it. It just wasn't done right. So, yeah. Quit being so judgmental.
Now, before we get into the Video Game Awards, I do want to say one thing. Since we are talking about, next-gen consoles and all that stuff. You and me had this conversation. You don't believe that the current, gen consoles are done, right?
No, and me and you talked. You shared a video of this guy with a brand new Series X, the tower, not the digital one.
The tower.
Yeah, the tower, and he does have it laid over,
which you can
do, and it's literally on for like 15 seconds, and then pops, and it like almost sounds like a small like 22 gunshot, and it blacks out, starts right back up. So
with a sound like that, there's got to be some kind of internal damage or some kind of friction being.
It sounds more like a giant circuit breaker clicking off and then clicking back on, but it doesn't have one inside the Series X.
So it's probably shorting out somewhere.
So that's scary.
Yeah.
But he said it just cuts off and cuts itself right back on like nothing happened, but that's definitely a big issue.
But and this is what I'm saying too. Cyberpunk isn't ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's how many games have you had problems with on Godfall?
Yeah, Godfall actually just received a patch that was well over 2 gigabytes.
Just to fix crashes.
Nothing but bug fixes.
So I really believe now, after seeing a lot of this stuff, it's too early for the new gen. We should
Even
wait
the,
another 2 years.
I feel like everybody was blindsided, man. I don't feel like it was just like, oh, by the way, next gens are coming, and everybody's like, whoa, oh god, we got to start making our games. And like, I just feel like it was too sudden.
Yeah, see, I agree. If they would have announced it and maybe sold it next year.
Well, you know how the competition is between Microsoft and Sony, so that didn't help.
Both
either.
rushing to beat each other, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But
Oh, okay, good.
I believe it was the CEO or the head guy of like Sony. I don't remember his name or his position, but it was basically like current generation PS4s are not going to be faded out. He's actually up to a certain point going to keep putting out games for the current PS4s. And but I will say this: the PS4 standard, it's kind of starting to fade out. Like I was telling you about this. Like you have. Vol, you have Adventures of Sackboy on PS5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I bought it for the PS4 Pro, and I actually saw the difference in quality on the standard PS4, the Pro, and the 5.
Oh yeah. Like I was playing Immortals: Phoenix Rising on my PlayStation 5, and moved my save over to my PlayStation 4 to not do any illegal activities to my save file.
Shush.
And I could notice the load time. Oh my, it about drove me crazy. Same with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like when you're in that room as your character and you can run around while it's loading, you actually have time to do that.
Right.
On the 4, and the game just I could see with my naked eye an obvious difference. And I was just like, "Oh, okay, wow, yeah, I see it now."
Yeah. Which we understood was going to happen.
Right.
And in terms of visual quality, like for example, on for Adventures of Sackboy on the PS4 standard, it renders at I think 720p on the PS4 Pro. It's 1080p on the 5. It's dynamic 4K. Like you don't get those grassy or yarny textures and lighting that you see in the background as well in the PS4 Pro as you do in the 5, but it's still running really great on the PS4 Pro.
Well, I mean,
I'm having fun with it.
But bring it back to where you said Sony's not going to get rid of the PS4 yet. Mm. They're going to keep building games. They did the same thing with PS2. They kept it along for how many years after PS3 was released? A good 6, wasn't it?
4, 5, or 6.
Yeah, they didn't turn off the last service. I mean, now the quality in games went down. It was mostly like sports games, like Madden.
Wasn't it worse with the PS3s when the PS4s came?
Yeah, they just shut them down. They're just like, no,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, if you want to play anything on it, it's going to be like the JRPGs that get imported at the last minute.
That is good news because say Horizon Forbidden West launches early next year.
Right.
And you know how difficult it is to find a PlayStation 5.
Right now.
It's next to impossible unless you're willing to pay $1,000. But say Horizon Forbidden West comes out. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
You can still buy that and play that on your PS4. And most of these games, everyone that I've bought so far, except for true exclusives to that console,
the 5
gives you the 5 and the 4 version. And, vice versa on the PlayStation 4. So you can start playing the game on the 4 and then move to the 5. And I think that's a lot of what they're going to do. So if you still haven't found one when God of War Ragnarok comes out, it's not like you can't play it because you don't have a 5. You can play it on your 4.
And that makes me happy because I'm one of the people that I'm not going to get a PS5 probably until midway June, July, August of next year.
And you honestly,
I'm staying away from the PS5s and the Xbox until this whole bullshit blows over.
Right. And unless you're really wanting to play Godfall or Demon's, I think Demon's Souls is really the only other
That's
than
the only
Godfall
one I'm interested in, but exclusive. I can wait.
But because Sackboy, Miles Morales, I don't think I think Astro Boy is a true exclusive for this one too. But you can play most of the games that I have. You can play on the 4.
So yeah, I agree with waiting. I know you agree with waiting. Me and you talked about that extensively. But we need to move on. We spent way too much time talking about this, especially if we want to get on and talk about how rigged the video game awards were. Super rigged. Oh, and I'm going to have a little rant here. I'm tired of seeing stuff saying we need an LGBTQ character in Final Fantasy, or we need this. Quit. I don't play video games to have that stuff pushed on me. I play video games to escape. You can judge me. I don't care.
If it's natural,
let it be natural.
Fine. But when you sit down and you're making a game and your little meeting, you're like, okay, guys, we need ideals for our new game. Oh, well, how about no. We need to figure out who's LGBTQ, who's and how white the villain is. That's where we'll start.
Miles, the new Spider-Man.
Yeah, I feel so bad for it, man, because Spider-Man 2018 paved the road for this game. But I honestly, after thinking about it for a little bit, I feel like where Miles falls short is that the awesome thing about Spider-Man 2018 was he wasn't a kid anymore. Finally, you were an adult, seasoned Spider-Man.
You didn't get an origin story
and
right off the bat.
Miles Morales throws you right back into inexperience, afraid to make a decision. It's always the wrong one. And you're just right back where we've been a million times with Spider-Man movies, comics, games. They just hit the reset button. And then they tried to push in a bunch of, social justice stuff, and it just Miles isn't doing so hot, man. It's got like a 6-point rating where 2 years ago Spider-Man was Game of the Year.
Yep.
So that should tell you something right there. I guarantee that when Spider-Man 2 comes out, they're gonna be like, okay, here's where we messed up. Let's get back on track.
I don't know. I almost doubt it.
Really?
I do, because of the way that they're pushing everything. And my proof with that is how Last of Us 2 won so many awards.
Cleaned house, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
I would just like to say that I nearly lost faith in humanity, but because the player base, fellow gamers, stood up and said, no, Ghost of Tsushima was better.
Yes.
That to me, that's what matters. The critics and They can give awards to whoever they want. They could have given it to Maneater. I don't care. The players chose Ghosts. That's what matters to me.
I agree. And it really shows, because you pulled up the awards list.
Yeah. It won Best Narrative and Best Audio Design in the same year that a new Final Fantasy game come out. That is unheard of.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
No, it was obviously rigged.
Yeah, it's obviously rigged. Hell, you even said the Naughty Dog producer who came up there was just
he was all like, are you sure? Okay.
How? How did this happen?
They had me at gunpoint in the car on the way over here.
Yeah.
Somebody help me.
So, why can't, we should just keep that out. There's no reason why we should be forcing studios to do that.
I feel like forcing it is worse than just not doing it. Look at how many games have succeeded without current events being involved in them. I mean, it just blows my mind that people feel like all of that's a necessity. And I'm not just talking about one way. I'm talking about both. It goes these games, they're being designed, these open worlds, these interesting characters, they're being designed for us to to immerse ourselves in, to escape. It's an escape from reality, whatever that reality might be. So do you really want to log into your game and see and be in a world where you can just go turn on the news and watch what's going on in the world?
Yeah, I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't either.
How about you, Juan?
I mean, most people play video games to escape.
Exactly. So why are you trying to? No. Because I read an article, man. I can't remember if it was from Game Informer or IGN, but they were knocking Miles Morales, saying that it falls short because it doesn't adequately represent where we are with our police in this day, in the current today in the game. The police are Miles kind of works with them and helps them where he should be avoiding them because they're bad, is what the article's saying. What is that? That's completely unnecessary.
Isn't the character's father a police officer?
Yes, he died saving Norman Osborn.
Oh wait, he was a firefighter.
No, he was. I thought he was police
Was he
officer. He was police officer.
In Enter the Spider-Verse, he was a firefighter.
No, he was a police officer.
You said firefighter. You messed me up on that.
But yeah,
he's one of them.
Yeah, he was a police officer who.
But he's a public servant. We know that for sure.
But that's why you'll never have a good Miles Morales game if you're trying to push these SJW ideals onto a game that's already got a story, then it just
Yeah.
ruins the story for both the people that want an SJW story and the people that want a Miles Morales story.
Or Spider-Man story.
I'm talking about Miles Morales in general.
I look at him as both
But
because
Miles
he is
Morales
Spider-Man.
has a great story.
He does.
He's got an amazing story. Just watch Into the Spider-Verse. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
SJW crazy against police 24/7. If you want that kind of game, build that kind of game. Build the We Hate Police game. But there's no point adding those aspects into a game where the story's already set and you want to play out that story and just ruin it for everybody.
Right. And I kind of feel like that's what Last of Us 2 did. I feel like they laid out their agendas and then they made a game. That's how I feel like that. Because I couldn't play that game without feeling like it was... I couldn't finish it. Like, I didn't enjoy it at all.
Are we going to say you were oppressed?
Wait, you actually played it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he told
Yeah,
you
I did.
that. He couldn't get past the whole open world part of it when it was just walking
You don't
around
rem-
Seattle. We talked about
Best
that.
action adventure, Juan.
I've slept since then.
I completed the Seattle horseback exploring with your girlfriend in like explored that whole open world area in like 30 minutes.
That's not open.
It
That's
took
not
me
adventure.
30 hours to 100% the first area in Ghost of Tsushima.
Which y'all still need to beat so we can talk about the ending, by the way.
I mean, I don't understand what Ghost has a better story. It had better characters. It had better gameplay. It had better character customization, outfits, charms,
yes.
like paints, change the way your suit looks. It was just a better game
Better audio.
all the way around. Better audio, yes. Oh my god! But the first time that you're on your horse and you ride out into the open world of Ghost and you see this landscape rolling out in front of you, you're just like, wow, that is gorgeous.
Yes.
At no point in time did I feel that in Last of Us 2.
Now, I'm not going to say that Last of Us 2 was a shit game. I can't say that because I'm a Last
I'm
of
not
Us.
saying that either.
But I will agree that it does not deserve all those awards over the other candidates, like
And-
Ghost of Tsushima.
And here's the thing. We looked up who the other nominees were. And
Yes.
this bothers me here. There was only 2 games that were released earlier 2020. Last of Us Part 2
Mhm.
and Ghost of Tsushima. The other ones were...
Miles Morales and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which had been out like, what, 2 weeks before the game? 2-3 weeks before the Game Awards?
That's not fair.
That's not.
Because, God forbid, my new Spider-Man game be buggy, then what? It's
Right.
automatically going to lose. Same thing with Valhalla. Oh, it's automatically going to lose. That's
Right.
not fair. So you put it up against this game that everybody swears up and down because it's so politically correct and everything like that, which actually had a shit story. No
so
offense.
bad, man. So bad. Like,
Abby.
I'm not going to say it was the greatest story.
No,
but
no. Even me and you both agree. The first game, and I hate the first game.
You only hate the first game because of the ending. If
You're
they
damn right.
If they snipped off the ending, you would have been like, "Oh, I love the first game."
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
But because of that, you have to shit on the entire game in its entirety because I hate the ending. The whole game is crap now.
see,
No one can ever
you
change my
always
mind on
said
this.
that you hated the ending because you felt like that it ruined Joel's character.
Yes, I did.
Here's what I will say about 2. The ending of 2 ruined Ellie's
Ellie's
character.
character.
Yes, it did. I will agree on
What Ellie was going... Because me and you can argue probably all night about Joel. Because I
Right.
feel like the ending made his character. Because it showed you... He sat down and he said, I have to care about something. Like, I have to give a shit about something.
You haven't played
It might as well be Ellie.
I haven't played it, but I understand the concept.
You
It was-
started playing.
It
like
was
a
Last
little
of Us
bit it.
Become Human. He showed a human trait.
But we know for a fact of Joel's seedy past, the things that Joel had done. We're shown that in the first game.
Exactly, I agree.
Joel is brutally murdered in what, like the first hour and a half, 2 hours of Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
Right? And then Ellie goes on her revenge quest.
For
All right.
Abby.
And at the end, when she finds her, she has this weird flashback of a Joel that we only see briefly, right? Where he's like teaching her to play guitar, a loving father figure, and she's like, oh, Daddy Joel wouldn't want me to do this. Bullshit. If they
Daddy
had
Joel
killed
would have
you,
wanted. Yeah,
If
Daddy.
they'd killed Tommy, if they'd killed Tommy's wife, Joel would have been the first person there and he'd have killed them all.
See, I agree with that. I agree with that 110%. That's the reason why
That's
you
the
told me
Joel
about-
we were given that we knew in Last of Us 1. And they
just shit all over him.
all over him.
All over him.
All over him, man. And but everybody knows this. It's been widely talked about. Everybody knows it. That's why the players were like, sorry guys, Last of Us 2 is shit. Even though it's not complete shit.
I mean, no.
But compared to Ghosts.
I like the gameplay. I like the fact that the game comes with in-game currency Bible, cheats, basically.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that, which was awesome. It's going.
Okay.
But it is too long. And again, the ending was crap.
And I don't like the whole, now you're Ellie, now you're Joel, now you're Ellie, now you're Abby, now Joel's dead, now you're Ellie, now you're
basically a
Abby,
split
back forth, back
campaign,
forth,
yes.
back forth. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
made
that
it
was
so
rough.
long. Like, I was ready for it to be done, like, within, like, still missing, like, maybe an hour or two left. I'm like, this game should have ended, like, an hour
I
ago.
made it going to the hospital. You were going to the hospital.
As Abby, yeah.
No, as Ellie.
When she's going back to the hospital,
Uh,
it's like a flashback when she goes to find out what actually happened with the Fireflies. Because she suspected Joel was that one?
no, not that one.
Okay.
You're going to the hospital to kill a target.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Real exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely best narrative.
Oh, God,
And the
yes.
audio design. Mwah.
Yeah. Should not have won anything.
And I will say this, too. It had the worst sex scene I've ever seen in a video game. I'm sorry. It just did. It was just, like, uncomfortable to watch.
Oh my gosh, what are you, transphobic? Jesus. Terrible.
So, moving forward, do you think we'll see more of this in our video games?
I hope not. I hope people can just let video games be what video games have always been, which is, sure, we've got a lot of these issues in our world, and they're real issues, and they're issues that need talked about and discussed, but they need talked about and discussed in the real world, not in our video games. That's not going to do anything. But if you're like, Final Fantasy, if in remake part 2 of Final Fantasy 7, if Cloud's not gay and Vincent's not transgender, then this game is just garbage. It's trash. Boycott it. That's ridiculous.
I don't think the actual, like, publishing companies will actually realize this until they actually start seeing a drop in sales.
Which is a very possible thing.
Yeah,
It's very
it
possible.
really is. Because it's like Christian said, you have fans that are true fans, like Miles Morales. Like, I like Miles. I like Miles' origin story. I liked Into the Spider-Verse. And that's the beautiful thing about Marvel. You don't need to alter and come up with this. Like, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby left you templates.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got all of this laid out for you. Like,
But they will.
yeah.
I hate to say it. It's going to be like that for a long time in a lot of forms of media, whether it be movies, video games, comic books, anything like that. Because the sad truth is these agendas don't hold up well on their own. You don't see very many comics or movies or video games where these agendas are the main story and people actually buy it, because most people...
No, like I said, we use those medias to escape.
Exactly. Nobody wants to deal with those agendas in those media formats, so they take it to the big medias, the big games that are already selling, the big movies that are already selling, the big comics that are already selling, because that's the only way to get the voice out.
Yeah. All right. We're done. We ranted for a good 30 some odd minutes.
There's a lot of passion in this room.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't keep it quiet, but passion nonetheless.
You gross.
God, that was
I didn't
disgusting.
smell anything.
I'm happy for you.
All right.
Team
All right.
tolerance.
We're out. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that nice stuff. Yeah, maybe do a fan thing. So we'll talk about an anime. All right. Latest.
Later.